Alright, so for part A, we are trying to figure out whether line 1 and line 2 are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So we need to find the slope in order to answer that question. So you take line 1 points, difference in the y over difference in the x's, so change in the y over change in the x. So that would be 9 minus negative 1 divided by 5 minus 0. So that gives me 10 over 5, which is 2. Do the same thing for line 2. 1 minus 3 divided by 4 minus 0. That gives me negative 2 over 4, which is negative 1/2. So I compare the two slopes, and they are opposite and reciprocal. Because they are opposite and reciprocal both, then I know that line 1 is perpendicular to line 2. Alright, so letter B, same thing as A. We need to find the slope of line 1 and the slope of line 2 and compare them. So let's start with line 1. The difference in the y's divided by the difference in the x's. So I'll start with 5 minus a negative 1 divided by 1 minus a negative 2. So that's going to give you 5 plus 1, that's 6. 1 plus 2, that's 3. The slope is 2. Line 2, negative 5 minus 3 divided by 5 minus 1. So negative 8 over 4, that gives you negative 2. Now, again, compare the two slopes, and they're not equal, so the lines are not parallel. They're opposite, but they're not reciprocal. So this one would be neither. Alright, so for letters C and D, you are looking for a line that is either perpendicular or parallel to a given line, and I'm asking you for all three forms of the equation. So I have a point right here, and I can get a slope from here, because see, I have this line. Let me just go ahead and do a quick, well, actually we could do that, I'll do that later. But the new line has to go through this point, okay? And it has to be perpendicular to this line. So what I need from this line, what I need from this equation is I need the slope. So that's the first order of business. I'm going to look for the slope. So 2x minus 3y is equal to 8. I'm going to subtract the 2x, so I'm going to end up with negative 3y equals negative 2x plus 8. Then I'm going to divide by negative 3, every term by negative 3. And so that's going to give me y equals positive 2/3 x minus 8/3. The only thing I need from this equation is the slope, not the y-intercept. This one I don't care about, okay? Only the slope. So I'm going to use the slope and this point right here to get my new line. Now, if the slope of the line that they gave you is 2/3 and they're asking for perpendicular, remember the perpendicular slope has to be opposite and reciprocal. So negative and then 3 over 2. So because I have a slope and I have a point up here, the easiest equation to write first is point slope form. Because I have both. I have both numbers, right? So point slope form would be y minus y sub 1 equals the slope times the quantity of x minus x sub 2, or x sub 1, like that. So let me simplify that. So you end up with y minus 1 equals negative 3/2 x plus 4. Whoops. So that's point slope form, and you're done with that one. Convert this one to slope intercept form. Okay, so that means we're going to distribute the negative 3/2 here and here. So it's y minus 1 equals negative 3/2 x, and a negative 3/2 times a positive 4. If it helps you, you could put a 1 underneath the 4. So you get negative 12 over 2, which is negative 6. And then we add 1. So then you have y equals negative 3 halves x minus 5. So this is slope-intercept form. For the general form, I'll just do it on this side. What you're going to do is, from slope-intercept form, I'm going to move this term over to the left side. So I have 3 halves x plus y equals negative 5. Now, it's common practice to get rid of any fractions so that all you have as coefficients are whole numbers. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. So then that gives me 3x plus, don't forget to distribute the 2 right there, 2y equals negative 10. So that would be the general form. Alright, so for letter D, notice how I used the same point and the same equation. So we already have the slope of this equation. We know that the slope of this equation is equal to 2/3. And then we're going to use it along with the point negative 4, 1. So now we're looking for a parallel line, parallel to 2x minus 3y equals 8. So remember, lines are parallel if they have the same slope. So my parallel slope is going to be 2/3. So I'm going to write it in point slope form first. So it's going to be y minus y sub 1 equals the slope times x minus x sub 1. So that's y minus 1 equals 2/3 times the quantity of x plus 4, and that would be the equation in point slope form. For slope-intercept form, we're going to multiply, distribute the 2/3. So slope-intercept. So that's going to become y minus 1 equals 2/3 x plus, again, if it helps you put a 1 underneath the 4. 4 times 2 is 8, 3 times 1 is 3, so that one does not reduce or simplify, so it's just 8/3. I'm going to add a 1. And so I get y equals 2/3 x. Now the 1, I could add it as 3 over 3 to get a common denominator. So 8 and 3 is 11 over 3. Okay, so now for general, we have, I'm going to move this 2/3 x over to this side, so it becomes negative 2/3 x plus y is 11/3. Excuse me. Multiplied by 3. So then I get negative 2x plus 3y equals 11. Now that's fine, but again, another common practice is to make the x a positive. So multiply everything by by negative 1, and you get 2x minus 3y equals negative 11. So either one of these is fine.